All right, let's dive into one of the biggest paradoxes in tech right now. We're talking about the fierce and honestly growing public backlash against artificial intelligence. We're constantly told that AI is the future, right? That it's this huge revolution, just like the internet. But then you go online, you talk to people, and, well, there's a real anger there. It's palpable. So that's what we're going to unpack. Why do so many people seem to absolutely hate it? And here's the thing. What our sources are suggesting is that this isn't about ignorance. It's not people being afraid of something they don't get. It's actually the complete opposite. This backlash seems to be coming from a pretty clear-eyed look at where AI is headed. So let's get into the big arguments that are really fueling all this.
First up, we've got what's being called the human touch problem, and this really gets to the core of it for a lot of people. It's this idea that AI is fundamentally dehumanizing, that it values cold, hard efficiency over all the stuff that actually makes our lives meaningful.
Okay, check out this quote. It's what one source calls the bedtime story analogy, and it just perfectly nails this entire argument. It takes this big, abstract idea of dehumanization and makes it super personal. It really makes you ask, what are we actually losing when we decide to outsource our most human moments?
So the fear is that AI, just by its very design, will always choose saving 5 minutes over that irreplaceable connection between a parent and a child. And the big worry is that we're accidentally building a world that's, yeah, technically brilliant, but just emotionally hollow.
But of course, that's not the whole story. On the flip side, you have a ton of people, especially in tech, who see a totally different picture. We saw one software developer who put it perfectly. For them, AI isn't a replacement at all. It's a productivity multiplier. It's a tool that lets them solve these incredibly complex problems they just couldn't crack on their own. So for them, it's not about replacing humanity, it's about augmenting it in a really powerful way.
And that whole question about AI's real purpose, it leads us straight into the second big critique. This one's less about philosophy and way more about the cold, hard costs. We're talking about the massive environmental and economic price tags that come with this AI boom. So just to put the environmental cost in perspective, get this. One cloud computing deal for just one AI company is projected to need about 4.5 gigawatts of power. That's the same amount of power as more than 2 Hoover dams. I mean, the scale is just absolutely staggering. And this quote really gets to the heart of the whole environmental argument. You have people looking at this and asking, wait, we're burning this much of our planet's resources for this to generate, silly novelties? When you see the output, the immense cost starts to feel like a total insult, especially when we're in the middle of a climate crisis. And it's not just the environmental cost. Then there's the money. You've got a growing number of critics who are flat out calling the AI boom a Ponzi scheme. The argument goes like this. It's basically an economy built on pure hype. You have these giant companies all investing in each other, banking on imaginary future profits. And this creates these insane valuations for products that, well, they haven't actually proven they can make any money or even be that useful yet. So, all these questions about cost and real value, they lead us right into our third theme, progress or abdication. It's all about questioning what progress even means here. Is this tech really pushing us forward, or is it just giving us an excuse to be lazy?
So here's where critics draw a really sharp line in the sand. Think about it. The telephone, the internet, those were tools that extended what we could do. They helped us reach further, know more. But the argument is that generative AI is something else entirely. Its goal, a lot of the time, seems to be to straight up replace the most human things we do. Creativity, analysis, even just thinking.
Yeah, the big worry here is nothing less than the death of critical thinking. The argument is that AI doesn't want you to think for yourself. It just wants you to sit back and be a passive consumer of this endless stream of low-quality, machine-generated content. And critics have a great name for it. They call it slop. And they're really worried it's just going to crowd out any real, genuine human creativity. But there is a really powerful counter-argument here. And it's basically, haven't we heard this all before? Because if you look back, every single major tech leap, the car, the computer, the internet, it sparked the exact same panic about mass unemployment. And yet every single time the technology ended up creating way more jobs than it destroyed. So the million-dollar question is this time actually different? And that very question, who really benefits from all this, brings us to our fourth point, the new tech oligarchy. This is the fear that AI isn't really a tool for all of humanity. It's a tool for concentrating more and more power and wealth into the hands of just a tiny elite.
This quote really captures that fear perfectly. The concern is that AI is basically the ultimate toolkit for control. It could allow this alliance between big corporations and governments to watch and influence all of us on a scale we've never seen before, a scale that could make any real dissent pretty much impossible.
But then there's a more nuanced take on this. Some argue we're blaming the wrong thing, that the problem isn't the tool, it's the system. They say the real issue is a system that incentivizes companies to misuse AI. The constant drive for more profit, more control, that's what pushes them to automate jobs and build surveillance tech. So from this point of view, the problem isn't the AI, it's the economic world it's being born into.
Okay, so all of these concerns about control, about purpose, they all lead up to our fifth and, honestly, maybe the most fundamental critique of all, a deep, deep distrust of what AI actually produces. The big question is this thing actually intelligent, or is it just a really good mimic?
A lot of people just don't see AI as a source of truth. They see it as a slop factory. The argument is, it doesn't think, it doesn't know a single thing, it just hoovers up massive amounts of stuff that humans have created, basically plagiarizing it, mashes it all together with some statistical guesswork, and then spits it out as if it's a fact. And a lot of the time, it's confidently just hallucinating complete and utter nonsense.
And this little story from a user just illustrates the point perfectly. They were debating with ChatGPT, and when they pushed back, the AI just folded. It completely caved and changed its position. And that right there highlights the core fear. This thing has no conviction. It has no real understanding, no reliability. And if it's that easily led astray, the thought of trusting it with something actually important, like, say, your pension fund, is, frankly, terrifying.
All right, so we've walked through these 5 major arguments. Let's try to pull it all together. What's the final verdict on this backlash?
When you put it all together, what do you get? Well, the average person doesn't seem to hate AI because they're clueless. They seem to hate it because they look at it and they see a technology that, 1, steals their data without asking, 2, burns up insane amounts of planetary resources, 3, aims to replace their job or their creativity, and 4, what does it offer in return? Not much of real value, it seems. So from that point of view, the backlash doesn't seem crazy at all. It seems like a totally rational response.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Is all this rejection of AI just, another case of us being scared of the new and the unknown? Or is it something much deeper than that? Could it be a collective, almost instinctual defense of the very things that make us human? Our connections, our creativity, our sense of purpose, our ability to think for ourselves. It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.